Last night on Fox News, 2020 candidate Pete Buttigieg weighed in on President Trump, and President Trump weighed in on Buttigieg. The South Bend, Indiana mayor was the latest Democrat to appear in a Fox News town hall, while President Trump appeared in a taped interview. Here are some key moments from Sunday night.
We need to make sure that we're changing the channel from this show that he's created, because what matters, and I get it, look, it's mesmerizing. It's hard for anybody to look away. Me too. It is the nature of grotesque things that you can't look away.
We've got the town hall with Pete Buttigieg.
Buttigieg.
There you go. This weekend. Just one thing on him. Putting aside policy disagreements, don't you think it's just great to see the fact that you've got a guy there on the stage with his husband, and it's normal. It's not even seen as a big deal.
I think it's absolutely fine. I do.
But isn't it a sign of great progress in the country that's just...
Yeah, I think it's great. I think that's something that perhaps some people will have a problem with. I have no problem with it whatsoever. I think it's good.
According to Politico, Buttigieg is one of 4 Democrats who have held or scheduled a town hall on the traditionally right-leaning network. Several other Democrats, including his rival, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, said she would not go on the network. She called it a, quote, hate-for-profit racket. While Buttigieg did appear on Fox, he also took time to echo Warren's comments.
You know, a lot of folks in my party were critical of me for even doing this with Fox News. And
I've heard that.
and I get where that's coming from, especially when you see what goes on with some of the opinion hosts on this network. I mean, when you got Tucker Carlson saying that immigrants make America dirty, when you've got Laura Ingraham comparing detention centers with children in cages to summer camps, then there is a reason why anybody has to swallow hard and think twice before participating in this media ecosystem. But I also believe that even though some of those hosts are not always there in good faith, I think a lot of people tune into this network who do it in good faith.
Let's bring in CBSN political reporter Caitlin Huey-Burns. So, Caitlin, why are Buttigieg and a handful of other Democrats willing to appear on Fox News when others in the party are not?
Well, a lot of them are saying, look, we want to go to voters wherever they are. And after 2016, Democrats said we need to win back a lot of these voters that chose Trump over Hillary Clinton, and a lot of them watch Fox News. What's really interesting, though, is to see the strategies of some of these campaigns. It makes political sense for someone like Elizabeth Warren to make news out of not going on Fox News. That kind of fits with her brand, and she was able to fundraise off it and really make an appeal to her base voters, her core constituency. For someone like Buttigieg, this really was a good night for him. Not only do you have this audience in Fox News, you have during the commercial breaks, they played kind of montages giving people an introduction to who this person is, and it gave people a chance to really learn more about him. And he was able to kind of play on their field, which was really interesting. You heard in that bite there how he didn't go on Fox News to praise Fox News. He went on and was actually pretty critical of some of its programming, but he was able to make news out of this appearance, and I think that's what candidates like him are looking for at this stage in the campaign, because it's all about getting news clips, being able to fundraise, raise more money off of it, and to get more attention, so voters everywhere are noticing you.
It did seem to be a fine line, though, right, that he was attempting to walk there, where on the one hand you don't want to alienate the Democratic base that is on the left, and at the other end of it, you don't want to have those moderates who might be in that Fox News audience to be alienated either. So it was an interesting strategy he
Exactly, and it is really a balancing act that these candidates have to weigh, and that's why some of them are deciding that it's just too big of a risk. What was interesting, though, was the substance of some of these questions and his answers, like the question about the recent abortion bans being passed at the state level, and that could make their way to the Supreme Court. He was able to really talk about his views on this and saying that it's a woman's right to make this decision, but doing it in a way that he felt like he was able to reach various people on the same issue.
Let's talk about Vice President Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. So the former vice president held a rally in Philadelphia Saturday. He said the key to accomplishing his policy proposals was to defeat President Trump, but some Democrats, including Bernie Sanders, appear to have taken issue with that approach. Let's play some of what Biden said Saturday, followed by what Sanders said on Sunday's Meet the Press.
Folks, let me tell you something.
The single most important thing we have to accomplish to get this done, the single most important thing we have to accomplish is defeat Donald Trump. Folks, as long as Donald Trump's in the White House, none of these things, these critical things, are going to get done. So if you want to know what the first and most important plank in my climate proposal is, beat Trump. Beat Trump. Beat Trump.
Beating Trump is not good enough. You got to beat the fossil fuel industry. You have to take on all of those forces of the status quo who do not want to move this country to energy efficiency and sustainable energy.
All right, so Caitlin, what is behind this apparent split within the Democratic Party?
Well, it's kind of this decision that voters have to make about whether they believe that the person best suited to beat Donald Trump is someone like Joe Biden or someone in the mold of Bernie Sanders. Joe Biden, who is arguing his case of electability and experience, and Bernie Sanders, who is more talking about from a policy perspective. A lot of voters say that they don't really want to choose between the two. They want someone to represent their policy views while also being able to defeat Donald Trump. But there is this question about what really motivates the base at this point. And we know that they are driven, voters who are attending these kinds of rallies, driven by the prospect of defeating Donald Trump. There are going to be voters, and we've seen the pushback that Biden has received from some in the kind of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wing of the party on items like climate change. Perhaps among younger voters, this could be a challenge. But he doesn't seem deterred by the policy issues, arguing that he is doing those, but the first priority is to defeat Trump.
Caitlin, I want to ask you about a tweet from Amy Walter, who's the national editor for the Cook Political Report. She observed that Biden's candidacy so far is, quote, like one of those casual, nice restaurants that you go to because they have a big menu and everyone in your group can find something they'll eat. No one is unhappy, but no one walks away thinking that was an amazing meal or experience. It's not risky, but it's also not totally satisfying either. So do Democrats appear torn here between a candidate who can beat the president versus someone who brings the party's policies and ideologies to the forefront?
It is a big question, and I want to focus on that word risky, because it seems like voters at this point, because they really are prioritizing defeating the current president, that they might not be able to take a risk on an unknown. We are still very early in the campaign. There are so many candidates, as we know, and people are still introducing themselves to voters, and voters are still learning about some of these new candidates. And I feel like that is one explanation for how well Joe Biden is doing. But we have seen him gain momentum in this race since getting in, and really kind of solidify at this point in time his status as a frontrunner in the party. That could be hurtful to him in the end. We'll have to see. But at the same time, it does raise this question about how much voters are willing to gamble on unknown candidates. And that's why you see those unknown candidates arguing their own cases for electability, arguing their own cases why they should be able to win the nomination and defeat Trump.
Before we let you go, President Trump is reportedly planning to formally launch his 2020 campaign next month. Axios first reported the story and says the president views June 16th as the official kickoff. That would be 4 years since he launched his first presidential run. So, Caitlin, what is it that you're hearing from Republicans about the president's initial moves here once he actually formally launches his campaign?
4 years sin's that escalator ride seems like just yesterday, the moment that completely changed politics. Actually, that day I was in New Hampshire covering Jeb Bush, so that goes to show how fluid these races can be, a good reminder of that. The president is really focused on the Rust Belt and Midwest states that really helped earn him the presidency, but also places like Florida. He really needs to be able to focus on a place like Florida, ramp up his support there. That's why you hear him talking about issues like Venezuela every time he goes down to Florida, playing or trying to paint all Democrats as socialist, but also why he is keeping his eye on Joe Biden. He's tweeting a lot lot about Joe Biden because there is this feeling that Biden could at least give some competition in places like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's been interesting to watch how the president has seemed very much focused on Joe Biden lately. Yeah. All right, Caitlin Huey-Burns. Caitlin, thank you so much.
Thank you.